Blessings and respect. So you asked the question, what is the most memorable and exciting moment about yesterday World Poetry Day? So it was quite fascinating knowing that I be reciting my poetry among some veterans, some elderly folks. They were disabled, and it's an audience that I've never seen before. It's my first time experience. An interesting point where one of the elderly put out when she says, if someone would be telling me that I would be sitting listening to poetry for an hour, I'd be like, really? And then after listening to me while I performed, she said, I would sit and listen to this guy for 2 hours. So knowing that really warms my heart. And I must say thanks to Cheryl and the entire team, the entire staff who made this possible. World Poetry Day is not one that I've ever performed, and so this was my first World Poetry Day performance at anywhere. And I love their vibe entirely. So persons can go check out that performance on YouTube. I think it titled World Poetry Day with Amaziyah the Great and the Elderly and Disabled, something like that. But I will make sure I put a link in this description so you can get the link. It will be probably in the description. It will probably be somewhere up here so you can click and you see it anywhere. My purpose is to just to, do my poetry for all audience, young, old, for females, because my book, earlier you asked about my book. So my book, Don't Cry, it consists of so many different things. It talks about my struggles, it talks about my journey, it talks about relationships, it talks about females I've been with, it talks about me motivating people, male and females, it talks about politics, it talks about empowerment, talks about domestic abuse against women. So the book Don't Cry by Craig A. Kirkland, it's available on Amazon. I've got copies, so sometimes people will see me in the street and they will want copies signed and all that. So I make sure each time I'm touching the road, if you see me with my knapsack, I got books in my bags. And I just need more of my people to see what I'm doing and share. Let me tell you this, people. When you see someone from especially a garrison community, because some of you guys might not know what Spanish Town is. Spanish Town is a place where, as Bounty Killer would say, they vanish cloud. No, but facts. Spanish Town had been in existence long before New York City. I mentioned that on a live at one point, and the host, he was bewildered and surprised somewhat. Yes, Spanish Town City has been in existence since the 1500s. I think New York came about in 1600. But enough of that. My poems that I write, it touches people to the core. And me be performing all over, performance in Rhode Island. I go all over Rhode Island and perform. I perform at Tell Your Truth, Orange Live promotion, I think that is, done by Troops. I perform at Fonda Fest in Rhode Island, just the same. Providence Outspoken, I think. Big up to Lisa and the entire team. I performed at Poetic Poetry. How could I forget? So Poetic Poetry was the first poetry event I've ever attended in Rhode Island. Not the first event, the first poetry. No, I'm lying. There was the Rhode Island anthology. That was the first poetry event. I have a poem in that anthology, and yeah, that's where I met my first group of people. And funny enough, I as a matter of fact, I'm also gonna share the link in this video somewhere here. Yeah, so Poetic Poetry put me to a lot of connections, performing in Boston, Massachusetts, Pub 360, I think, in Bedford, New Bedford. Yesterday in Milford, Massachusetts, just the same. Boston Jerk Fest. And persons should look out to see me performing at Boston Jerk Fest in the future again, because me and the organizers have a good relationship. And then there was another event, a Jamaica Family Fun Day event by Desmond and the JARI team, Jamaica Association of Rhode Island. That's the JARI acronym. Among some others, I performed by there is one I did last night, Swap Meet with Jay Bird. So big respect and kudos goes out to you, Jay, and the entire team. There's so much I might not recall now as I speak, but poetry is amazing, and it's the way we express ourselves. Big up to my entire poetry team back from Jamaica: Antonio Valero, Wise Words, Rastakura. Performance in New York is phenomenal. Look also to see me on the 24th, Ras Atiba's event. I will be there in Brooklyn, New York, and that's something to come out to. So people, come out and roll out. I know it's just a poetic vibe. So before I go, there are many other poetry events. I've did the school tour with Malachi and the entire team back in Jamaica, and I was supposed to be there this last year and this year, but who knows. But the journey continues no matter where in the world we are, because we never stop. We keep going and going, and we ignite that light. So much stuff, but let me wrap up. So persons who want my book, remember Don't Cry by Craig A. Kirkland, available on Amazon. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Precisely Great. Follow me on TikTok at Artist Craig Kirkland, or at Amaziyah the Great. I got 2 TikTok accounts. Follow me on Facebook, Amaziyah the Great Music. My music and some of my poems are available on all digital streaming downloading platforms. And the audiobook, look out for it. It's coming. I'm also working on my second book. My fans made me write this, and it's a good look so far. So that is something up and running. Also, what else there is to update you people with? Keep supporting, keep sharing. We're doing positive stuff. Like I did say earlier, coming from the Garrison community and contributing valuable, important stuff to our society is really remarkable for me. And performing and igniting lights in people's heart is really heart. It's nice. It's heartwarming. So before I go, this one is called For Our Children to Know. I want my children to know me as one that is great. Education is essential. Time mustn't waste. With the power of knowledge, there's no limit to what you can create. You'll encounter hurdles in life, even frightening earthquakes, but never stop. Aim higher and escalate. I also stumbled and fell on my journey. Yeah, I made mistakes. Still, I elevate and stay awake. Fueling my mind with positive energy, hold a vibe and meditate. I pay close attention to nature and sounds birds make. People business, me not discuss and I mix up and I partake. My heart aches, I can't take. Liars and pretenders, all fake. Hence why I separate myself from illusion. Confusion will never penetrate the core of my mind. I smile, I embrace greatness, fairness among all human race. Notice this face. When I live trace, I will never disgrace my people for opposition, murder, and power. In this case, somewhat complicated when the world is in a sick state. Love, politics, and religion are folks in a trick state. Miseducation, misinformation, misunderstandings, mistakes. The reason for your failure. So rise and surprise them with a bliss face. Blessings and respect. Like, comment, share, and support greatness. Support the poets. Tell them precisely.